Right, today's video it's on the lessons I've conducted on the 9th of January 2024. Right, for a start, let's do a recap. We're going to recap on the differences between factorization versus solving an equation. Right, so let's look at the difference between factorizing an expression versus solving an equation. All right, let's look at some basic question first. So if I ask to factorize 2x minus 6, right, so this 2x minus 6 is an expression. This is an expression. So to factorize an expression, what we are doing is we extract the common factor and then we convert it into linear factors, and the operation basically stops there. Right, so if you look at 2x minus 6, you can actually write 6 as 2 times 3, and hence the common factor here will be the number 2. Right, so you just extract it out and then it stops there. But if you're asked to solve an equation, it's a different story. Right, you factorize the left hand side. Right, you factor, that means, sorry, so when you're asked to solve an equation, so you're basically finding the values of x. Right, so in this case here, the value of x is 3. So when you substitute x to be 3 here, right, you're basically getting 0 on the right hand side. So x equals to 3 is the value that satisfies the equation. Right, so when you solve an equation, means you have to find the values of x that satisfy the equation. Okay, let's look at some intermediate question. Let's say you need to factorize this quadratic expression. So to factorize these quadratic expressions, then we have to use the cross method. So this is how you do it. Right, so this will be one linear factor, this will be the second linear factor. Right, and basically it just stopped there. Okay, the operation just stopped there. You don't do anymore. Whereas if you ask to solve it, okay, yes, you use the cross method to factorize the left hand side into the linear factors, and then you continue the process because you need to continue the process to find the values of x. So you use x minus 2 equals to 0 or x minus 1 equals 0, and from there you have two values of x because it's a quadratic equation. So you have two values of x, meaning if you substitute x equals to 2 here, you will get right hand side equals to 0, or when you substitute x equals to 1, you also get right hand side equals to 0. Right, so basically there is a difference between factorizing an expression versus solving an equation. All right, so let's try to match them. Right, so x equals to 8 is a value. So if it's a value, then that will be the answer for solving an equation. So likewise, x equals to 2/3 is also a value. So that will be an answer for solving an equation. Okay, so if you look at 3 bracket x plus 9, right, basically it comprises of two linear factors. So if it comprises of two linear factors, it is not a value, but it's a two linear factors, then that will be the two linear factors for factorizing an expression. And for the last one also, the two linear factors is the linear factors for factorizing a quadratic expression. Right. So the next slide is we're going to do a recap on how we can solve quadratic equations by factorization using the cross method. Right, so to do the cross method, first of all, let's draw a cross like that. And then we have to arrange your expressions, x squared. You arrange it properly, followed by -8, followed by -7x. All right, so this cross method is more or less a trial and error method. So the factors of x squared will be x and x. That means x times x will give you x squared. Okay, so for this -8, you can have -8 times 1, or you can have -1 times 8. You can have 2 times 4, or you can have negative 2 times 8. Sorry, you can't have 2 times 4, wrong. We can have negative 2 times 4 or negative 4 times 2. Right, so basically you just need to try and error, see which one fits. So let's try to use negative 8 and 1. So if you do a cross here like that, x times negative 8 will give you negative 8x. X times 1 will give you this direction here. X times 1 will give you x. So negative 8x plus x will give you negative 7x. Right? So basically the two factors are x minus 8. Then the second factor will be x plus 1. Right, so you're solving an equation, so you're finding the values for x. So from here we have to apply the AB product rule. So it's either x minus 8 equals to 0 or x plus 1 equals to 0, which means it's x equals to 8, one answer, one value, or x equals to negative 1, a second value. Right, let's do a second question. So first of all, let's draw your cross, and then you arrange it properly. So we have 2y squared first, followed by negative 20, followed by positive 3y. Alright, so how do you get 2y squared? So to get 2y squared, you can have 2y multiplied with another y. 2y times another y will give you 2y squared. Okay, so what are the factors of negative 20? You can have negative 4 times 5. You can have negative 5 times 4. You can have 1 times 20, but I think 1 times 20 is not helpful at all. You can have 2 times negative 10. You can have negative 10 times 2, so on and so forth, right? So we just have to try one of them. So maybe I'm just going to try negative 4 here and then 5 here and see what happens. Okay, so we do a cross. So if you take y times negative 4 gives you negative 4y. Then we do the other cross. 2y times 5 give me 10y. Then you realize that 10y minus 4y doesn't give you 3y. So this is not, okay, this method, this combination does not work. So let's try again. So this one does not work. So let's try the second combination. So the second combination is we're going to use negative 5 and 4. And let's see what happens. Right, so this and this will give me negative 5y. This and this will give me 8y. So 8y minus 5y will give me 3y. Okay, that's fine. The negative 5 times 4 will give you negative 20. Alright, 2y times y will give you 2y squared. Okay, so basically we're correct. So the two linear factors are this guy here. This is your first linear factor, horizontally. This is your second linear factor. So your first linear factor will be 2y minus 5. Second linear factor will be y plus 4. Then equals to 0 because you're solving an equation. Right, so 2y minus 5 can be equals to 0, which gives you 2y equals to 5. Then you divide by 2 on both sides. So you get 2.5, one value of y. So a second value will be y plus 4 equals to 0. That gives you y equals to negative 4. Because this is a quadratic equation, so basically we should be getting two values. Right, so the next slide we're going to work on is to solve quadratic equations in the form bracket x plus r to the power of 2 equals to s. It's like solving a squared equals to 16, let's say. Right, what are the values of a? So we're going to do that. Right, so we're going to do a simple example first. Supposing if I have a squared equals to 25. So what are the possible values of a? What can I substitute a inside so that I get 25? Yes, one possible values will be 5, because 5 times 5, right? Because 5 times 5 give me 25. Then can you see that to get 5 is when I square root of 25. When you square root 25, you get 5, right? So one possible answer for A will be A equals to square root 25. One answer. So a second possible answer will be A equals to negative 5. Why is that so? Because negative 5 multiplied with another negative 5 will also give you 25. Okay, so hence there's another answer for A, and that is negative bracket square root 25 gives you negative 5. So basically, when you have something squared equals to something, there are two possible answers. Alright, so applying this concept, let's look at this question here. Okay, so I'm going to treat this guy like a letter A. Okay, like a letter A. So A squared equals to 100. So the two possible values for A will be square root 100 positive. Can have negative also, which give me 10 or negative 10. But remember, your A is a substituted value for x plus 7. So you have to sub your A back to be x plus 7. So I have x plus 7 equals to 10, or x plus 7 equals to negative 10. So x can be 10 minus 7, that's 3, one answer. Or negative 10 minus 7, negative 17 as a second answer. Alright, so let's try another question. Right, so we have something squared equals 11. So we know that there are two possible answers. Right, there are two possible answers. First possible answer is square root 11. Second possible answer will be negative square root 11. Alright, so square root 11, if you use a calculator and express it to 4 significant figure, at least 4 significant figure for in-between answer, you'll be 3.317. Alright, and we're supposed to find the values of y, so I need to take 3.317 plus 5. This is approximately plus 5. That will give me 8.317. So to find the values of y, I just take 8.317 divided by 2, and that gives me 4.16. Final answer should be 3 significant figure, but before your final answer, in between at least 4 significant figure. Okay, so there will be two answers for the values of y, because you're actually solving a quadratic equation. So the second answer will be negative 3.317. So 2y will be negative 3.317 plus 5, and that gives you (1.683). So to find the values of y, you just divide it by 2, and the answer you get will be 0.842.